you mentioned on image as well. That was like almost our mission statement immediately, was to stand out. Like, I've always grown up loving bands that had a really strong image, like Slipknot. As soon as we sort of got together and like discussed general aesthetics of the band, it really just made sense to go all in. The black body paint, the contact lenses, everyone's wearing eye makeup, everyone's got their own like unique outfit and stuff like that. As soon as we figured that out, I was like, okay, this is as important as the music to me.
Real quick before getting into today's episode, just wanted to shout out a few quick things. First of all, we have a Patreon. For as low as $1.50 a month, you can get early access to these episodes as well as your name in the credits. And with the $5 tier, you can gain access to member-only channels in our Discord server, as well as be a part of the group calls that Yan and I do every second Friday. Secondly, we have merch. 2 designs that we absolutely love. You can find those over at indiemerchstore.com. And last but not least, we do these podcast recordings live on Twitch. So if you want to be a part of the conversation, see these as they happen. We do those every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. EST. Yeah, that's it. Links to everything I just mentioned will be in the description, along with links to our Discord server and our other socials. That's it. That's all I got to plug. Enjoy the episode. Alex, how are we doing? Welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, I'm doing good. It's not overly early in the morning here, but early enough that I have 2 caffeinated drinks next to me. So yeah, stoked to be on the show, guys. Thanks for having me.
You can say it. It's pretty fucking early, especially for a metalhead. It's
Yeah,
what, nine in the morning for you?
Yeah, 9 in the morning. I mean, I don't start work till like 10 a.m. So yeah, this is usually when I'm getting up for work anyway. So I'm kind of used to it. But yeah, like anything before 11 a.m. is pretty stiff, but understandable considering the distance between us all.
Yeah. We were kind of talking about this before starting the show. Actually, Australia is like one of the weird places where so it's like, you know, it's what, 7 p.m. here for us on Wednesday, but
yeah.
It's so, you guys are so far ahead into the next day that it still kind of makes sense to schedule stuff at this time. But for people in the UK, it like makes no sense, like 2 a.m. for them. So ironically enough, it works better for you guys.
Yeah, it's crazy. The time difference really fucks me when we go to Europe, like, because we'll be in like the UK and I've got like a 4-hour window to talk to anyone back home. But this worked out perfectly, so at least we got that.
Hell yeah, man. I mean, look, talking about Europe, you guys just came back from Europe, a couple of months ago? You guys were out there in February, March?
Yeah, we were out there with Suffocation, Angel Maker, Carcosa, Fuming Mouth. Second time we've been to Europe in 9 months, so that was pretty sick. Yeah, it was a long one, but yeah, it was. We're keen to get back. It was fucking sick as always, but yeah.
How was it touring with Suffocation? That's like a legendary fucking
band. Man, those guys fucking rule. Like, I went into it like a little bit nervous because I was like, all right, these are like, for lack of a better term, these are old heads. So like, I just didn't know what to expect. Now, manager Lynn, because he plays drums from Ingested, he's toured a lot with Suffocation. All he said to us, he's like, they party a lot, good luck. And I was like, fuck. So like, we're not really a party band. Like one of our guitarists is straight edge and like the rest of us are like pretty into like trying to keep fit and stuff like that. So we just did not know what to expect. And we got there and they were the best dudes in the world. Like I love them all dearly. Even like as far down to their crew as well. Like they're all such nice people. The whole tour package are all fucking legends. So it was good, man. It was nice to be sort of taken under the wing of some like dudes who've been killing it for years.
Yeah, like actually, yeah, I guess kind of see how they move and to kind of get inspired by, you know, where they're at in their career now, right? Because what, it's been like 20 years for them, more than that.
Oh
probably.
God, it's been like, I think Hobbs was telling me he started it in 88 or something. So like, and he's still going, man. He's still up there every fucking night banging his head. Like it blows my mind to be they're playing like that hectic music. Like Ricky, the singer, turned 50 on tour. Hobbs is in his 50s. Derek is like not far behind or something like that, like it's just respectable and admirable to see them, you know, still smashing it, being the heaviest band on the tour package. And you know, they're pushing the age a bit, and it's fucking crazy just to see. It gives you hope as a person that there's longevity in this crazy fucking music. But yeah, no, it's honor to be on the road with dudes like that.
Yeah, exactly like you said. I think it gives perspective because, to be honest with you, when I was younger, always in my mind, it's like when I was like 25, I'm like, oh, maybe I'm getting older, like I'm old to do like music, and like in my vision, I was just like it would finish and like when you're past 30 or something, like weirdly in my mind, right? And then you see these people killing it, like Cannibal Corpse or all these bands just like still killing it, and not only like killing it, like moving and like performing and like just like on top of their game. So it's like it changed your entire perspective of just like I could do that my entire life and I would be fine. So that's insane, you know.
Yeah, 100%. And you see dudes like Travis Ryan is like the best in the fucking game, and he's like mid-40s. Like we took, that was like our first like major tour was Cattle Decapitation, and just Travis is like another type of human. Like he just, that like the voice that he has at like his age, he has gotten better. It's fucking nuts. So it's like, yeah, like I was coming up to my 30s, and all I could think about was like, fuck, like, am I rolling the dice way too late? But you see dudes like that killing it. And I mean, I think the thing that keeps me like pretty grounded is that like Clown from Slipknot was like 31 when they released Self-Titled. So yeah, so like they
I didn't even know. Wow,
yeah, because
okay.
I was getting like hell paranoid about my age because I'm 32, and I was like, fuck, like when am I supposed to pack it in? Like I feel like it's mostly a young man's game. But then I was like looking into what band members were like older when they released their first album, just to give me some comfort.
Googling old people in metal bands on
yeah,
Google?
Yeah, honestly, like I was like looking up my favorite bands, and my favorite band is Slipknot. So I was just like, all right, how old was everyone when Self-Titled came out? And yeah, saw that, and I was like, all right, maybe I'm not writing anything as iconic as Self-Titled, but at least I can rest in the fact knowing that like there's not really a cap on it, especially not anymore. Like the way people are aging these days, like every one of my friends that are like in their 30s and stuff like that, we all still kind of look like we're in our like early 20s. It's kind of nuts.
Dude, it's true. Like people, every single time I say I'm 33, people are just like me, even people in real life, they're just like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, I know. But like, it's kind of because everything's moving fast, right? And you see all these, there are some really young people just killing it and like in sports and stuff. So it gives you the idea that you're kind of like weirdly late to do your stuff. You're like, oh my God, I should have been, I don't know, like screaming at 7 or something. And then you realize that it's just a preconceived thing. And even in everything, you know, you look at a good example I love The Office. It's like my favorite show. And most of the cast, when it started, they were like, most of them were like in their 40s, like end of their 30s, and their career, that was their break, right? Their final, like it was starting. So I feel like when you see that, it brings reassurance. It's just like, oh my God, like there's no, you know what I mean? Like some people start businesses are like in their 50s. You know what I mean? Like there's no, it's all preconceived, you know? It's not worth stopping yourself, I think.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think I do see a lot of the younger gen like talking about like life ending at like past 25. And I'm just like that probably got into my head a little bit. I'm like, fuck. But like, yeah, like there's it's all like preconceived notion. It's you've got no limit on it unless you put the limit on yourself. And if you're just doing what makes you happy anyway, it doesn't fucking matter. You just got to block out that kind of noise.
Exactly. I mean, like, look at you. Like, I think we can get into it, but I mean, if you would have stopped yourself, you would, you know, would have done anything of what you accomplished. You know, it would have been just for a preconceived thing. Oh, maybe it's too late. So and look at you now. You know, so it's proof that like don't stop yourself. For things like that.
I mean, like if I had gone back in time and told myself like, yo, if you don't stop, like you'll be like touring Europe with like legends and signed a Nuclear Blast and like doing all this crazy stuff, like yeah, that I wouldn't have even thought for a second. Like it. I think the end of everything for that sort of stuff for me is just like, it's the only thing that makes sense for me to do in my life. And it's the only thing that actually brings me like real joy. So it's like, why would I rob myself of that just because some fucking people talking shit on the internet, I guess, like who are, you know, scared themselves of aging. So it's,
There you go.
yeah. So it's just, yeah, not something that I think anyone should worry about. I don't think it matters what age you are. I think just pick up a mic, pick up a guitar, just make it happen.
I think maybe we can touch on this, I guess, because you guys came out in like 2022. And you know, you're talking about not even being sure about maybe starting up another band or whatever, but I guess there is something to be said probably about, you know, your previous bands and your previous experience kind of building up to what this new band is, I'm assuming, right? Because right out the gate, you guys really, really quick things start ramping up, right? Between signing to Nuclear Blast and Grayscale and starting to tour and do all these cool things, right? So I'm assuming there was some, I don't know, I guess what I'm asking is how the band came about amidst all of those kind of like feelings, right? And if the prior bands kind of led up to that moment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I have been playing in bands since I was 12 years old. Like starting in your high school, like pop punk bands, and like just gradually it just got heavier and heavier. But like, I guess I was vocalist of a band called Noir. We were pretty low key. We didn't really do anything crazy. And prior to that, I only played guitar in bands. I played in a band called Athena's Wake. We were around for a few years. Just like pretty like death metal influenced deathcore. The next band, pretty similar vibes, probably closer to like how Melancholia sounds, I guess. But yeah, like I was vocalist of that band, and our main songwriter decided he was done, and that kind of like rocked me a bit because in my impression, I was like that band was going to be the one that like I did it with. I was like sort of that was my last roll of the dice. And I guess like I sort of wallowed a bit. Like I got fairly depressed for a while there. And then I kind of just like, for lack of a better term, I just kind of cracked the shits and just went, fuck this. Like I'm not going to rely on anyone. I'm going to pick up my guitar again. I hadn't played guitar in like 2 years because I was doing vocals for that band. And it was my first band doing vocals in. So I was like really trying to make sure I was honing in my craft with it. And I picked up my guitar again and I just started writing songs. I didn't have a plan. I was just anything that came out of me. I would like, if I wrote a riff and even if it wasn't like a deathcore sounding riff or something like that, I would still see it through to the end. And I ended up writing like 20 something songs. And when I got to it, I started like narrowing down on which songs would be on a release. And then by the time I sort of zeroed in on that, I kind of thought, well, I mean, I can get a band together now. Like I can do the vocals live and write all the music. So I guess I sort of started grabbing members from bands that I'd toured with over the years and sort of just going through and thinking, you know, who's the right people, who's like, who wants this, who actually like wants to try and make this a priority in their life and try and have like a good crack at it. And that's when I met Josh. I mean, I didn't meet Josh actually. I've known Josh for 13 years from touring and stuff like that in other bands. So he was the first one on board. I sent him God Tongue off our first album. And as soon as he heard it, he was like, yeah, I mean, he was playing bass in a Virgin's Crown for like 4 years.
Yeah.
He packed it in. And he was also in the same mindset for a bit there where he was just like, not going to give it a go again until I sent him that. And he was in immediately. Then kind of went through like a little bit of lineup changes early, really, before we did anything. We had like a different bass player, a different drummer, and a different rhythm guitarist at the very start. We got all the songs recorded and we're sort of ready to go. And then we kind of shifted the lineup a bit and we brought in Billy, which I also knew from playing in shows with back in the day. He was in a band called Earthender, which you guys would probably know. Alpha Wolf, the singer Lockie was in that band. Yeah. That was his first band. Cool. So Billy was in that with him for years. I played with him a bunch of times. I met him once when he was drunk out at a nightclub. He came up to me and he's like, "You don't know me, bro, but you look really cool and I'd love to hang out with you one day." And then I never saw him again for like 4 years or something like that. And then I was asking my friend Alessio from Starve, and I was like, "Bro, who do I get on second guitar? I don't know anyone." And he was like, "Oh, do you know Billy, like from Earthender?" And I was like, "Oh, I remember that guy." So I hit him up, sent him a song, and he was like, "Yeah, dude, I'll try out for that for sure." And then all of a sudden, yeah, he was in the fold. We shot all the music videos, and basically by the time we got to the end of it, we sort of like we parted ways with our bass player and our drummer just because it just wasn't working necessarily, like for what our vision was and I guess what they sort of had going on in their lives. And that's when we brought in Mason on drums. And Mason,
he's been in a lot of cool shit.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Mason, he was in I Exalt. Anyone who had their ear to the ground to the Australian scene knows how sick that band was. I played with them bunch over the years. Mason's been like one of my best mates for like, well, the funny thing is, I guess I met Mason and Josh on the same day in 2013. My old band Athena's Wake was playing with I Exalt, and Josh was TMing for, I don't know if anyone knows the band Graves from Australia. They were on tour, and Athena's Wake played with them in our hometown back then, which is Geelong. And I met them both on the same day. And I kept in touch with Josh a bit over the years because he really liked Athena's Wake. But I mostly was like, as soon as I met Mason, he was like my best mate. So like we'd call each other 3 hours a week over the last 13 years. So yeah, like it finally came around. We'd talked about being in a band together for so many years, and it finally came around. There was an opportunity for Mason to come on board. And yeah, as soon as he was in, that was it. It was like all cylinders firing with the four of us. We released that first single, Horror Ethereal, and we got hit up by our friend Matt Van Duppen, who was the guitarist for Thornhill. He's also working for a management company called Future History, which is, Ryan Richards' company from Funeral for a Friend. He books Sleep Token and Loathe and stuff like that. So yeah, we got picked up by Matt immediately because I guess he saw merit in what we were doing. And I remember I'm really good friends with Nick from Thornhill. He sent me a screenshot of Matt in their band chat saying this band will be in Europe in 2 years, mark my words. And funnily enough, that actually came true sooner than that. But yeah, Matt got us he got our foot in the door with everything. He put us into conversations where we might not have had, I guess, as much of a word in like prior. So like I knew Josh from Grayscale pretty well, and I had said to him at one point, I'm like, "Hey man, like it's probably not going to be a thing." So at the time they were really only signing, I guess, metalcore bands. I'm like, "It might not be a thing, but can I send you our new album, see what you think?" And he was like, "Yeah, of course." So I sent that to him, and all of a sudden Matt hits me up and he's like, "Yo, Grayscale's interested." And I was like, "Oh shit, didn't expect that." So yeah, we kind of got in conversations with Grayscale, and we use that as our leverage for other labels, I suppose. I guess Matt was able to go to other labels and be like, "Hey, I've got this band. Grayscale's already interested. Here's what they've got to offer. What are you guys? Do you guys want to come to the table?" We did have, I guess, an album. We had every music video filmed. We had a pretty crazy edited graphic design special fucking EPK. We had bios written. We had like merch samples done and everything. Like we sort of came ready to go. And we basically just, like we were approaching these labels with like a full package. Like, here is everything done. You don't have to do anything but put it out and promote it. So we got into chats with a few labels. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry to cut you off, but I mean, because at that point too, I guess just for more context, like at that point, a label doesn't even have to put money into production, into anything outside of promo, really, and trying to, worst case, buy-ons, like just trying to get you guys out there, right, at that point. You can see like a full thing that's already paid for.
Yeah, that's 100% correct. Like it was, and that's what I tell any of my friends that have asked for advice with labels. I'm like, make their job easier It's come to them with everything, be organized, have a plan. And lo and behold, it worked for us. Like, we obviously, like, there's some merit in having a very established and defined image. I think that had a lot to do with it as well. And we made sure that everything was cohesive, everything was in one spot. It was literally like, here's a folder and here's an EPK, like, to the point where our EPK was so detailed that it was like hyperlinked. So if you clicked on a photo, it opened like a whole like folder of things, or like you click on something that said music videos, it took you to all our music videos. Like, we just spent the money and really took our time and organized everything. Like, before this band was even public, I think it was like 2 years in the making of prepping everything. So like, History Rotten Teeth came out in 2023. That album was recorded in 2021. Like, we had everything ready to go. We had our library built like 2 years before we played a show. So yeah, I guess like Matt got us into those conversations. We had the right product, and then all of a sudden, like, as much of a shock as it was, we had like, it was originally we were sort of aiming for Sharp Tone, and Matt came back to us and he said, Sean from Sharp Tone's interested, and Sean at the time was head of A&R of Nuclear Blast, and he was obviously running Sharp Tone as well. And it just so happened that it made more sense for us to be on Nuclear Blast, which in hindsight, I'm glad that was the move we made, for no reason other than like, I feel like just image and sound wise, like we fit more on that label. And yeah, it's been all systems go since then. So as soon as we were signed to both of those, we were sort of like hit the ground running, so to speak. We played our first show with Die Art at like a almost sold out like 1,000 cap venue or something like that on their Decade of Hate tour. And then like can we linger on that just for a second?
Talk to me a little bit about like you're playing that first show. You've built this thing up for like fucking 2 years, okay, sure, you've had the single out, but no one knows any of the other songs, and now you're playing to 1,000 cap venue with Die Art. Like, how was it like stepping onto that stage for the first time?
I think we were so prepared that, like, I mean, there was nerves obviously, but we've all played like a million shows before, and I think that really helped us. Like, there was the nerves of like, oh shit, here we go. Like, this is the first one. It wasn't the biggest show I'd ever played, so I wasn't super stressed, and I knew there was a lot of people there that were there to support us. We had rehearsed like pretty intensely prior to it. And I was very aware of the persona I was trying to put across on stage. So it wasn't in any way stressful, but it definitely was a massive success. Like, we had a lot of people reeling after that first show, just pretty blown away by the fact that it was our first show. Because we came out there so professional and polished, and yeah, like it was definitely the sickest way we could have kicked things off. And it's very funny to have a full circle moment where our first show was with Die Art, and next week we go on tour with them as direct support. Yeah. So yeah, it's crazy what 2 years changes. But yeah, it wasn't anything stressful or like nerve wracking. It was just like, now's the time. Like, it's now or never. Let's fucking get out there and show them what we're doing. And that's pretty much what it's been ever since, no matter who we're sort of playing with or what the crowd size is. It's always just been like, this is us, take it or leave it.
I mean, nerves aside, there's, you're playing in front of that many people. There's a great reception. Must have been fun, right? Just to be able, right? Like, awesome first fucking show to play, right?
Yeah. It was like, I think like we always, like, go out there to have fun. Like, I wouldn't do this if I didn't love every second of it. And yeah, I think it was extra sick for all of us because it was like, we were all kind of dusting off the cobwebs. Like, it had been 3-4 years since my last show. I think Mason had played maybe 6 months prior. Josh hadn't played in like 3 years, 4 years, and Billy hadn't played for like 7 or 8 years. So it was nice to dust off the cobwebs, and it felt very right to be back on stage.
Just a quick second to talk about the sponsor of today's episode, Indie Merch Store. The third and final single from Shadow of Intent is here. Check out the video for Mechanical Chaos and pre-order Imperium Delirium over at indiemerchstore.com. Limited vinyls remain, along with tees, hoodies, and more. Also, Aversion's Crown are back with a brand new EP. Check out the first single, A Voice from the Outer Dark, right now, which features their new singer, Alex Tayan from Black Tongue. They have a brand new t-shirt and wall flag also available at indiemerchstore.com. You can use code Brutality at checkout to save 10% off your entire order. Again, that's code Brutality at checkout for 10% off. Big thank you to Indie Merch Store for sponsoring the show. Brutality Podcast is currently sponsoring not one, but 2 tours. The first of which is currently going strong. It's the Thus Spoke Zarathustra album release tour. It's going all across the US, and it's got a bunch of really awesome revival bands doing regional dates across the entire tour. The second is the Bring Back the Brutal Tour 2025, featuring Peacemaker and I Saw God. The tour runs from July 5th to the 27th. It's hitting the East Coast and the south of the US mostly. I'll have links to both of these tours down in the description if you want to check out more info about the specific dates, as well as a lot of ticket links. You were talking about from there, I guess, like, so you linked up with Nuclear Blast. You do this first show, and so what was kind of going on after that?
We announced, it was the week after we played the Die Art show, it was actually the announcement for Nuclear Blast, and we put out a new single. So it was pretty crazy that we got up there and played one song that anyone could have known, and the rest of the set, like, no one knew. But yeah, we did that, and then we got offered like straight after opening our first show, we got asked to direct support a bit of a small show. It was at a 450 cap venue supporting Gravemind. They're really close friends of ours. We got asked to direct support that, so it was immediate to sort of see like our trajectory. Like we opened our first show, and then the next one we were direct support. So it was a pretty telling way of how things were sort of going to come. I don't think we expected quite this level of, I guess, this pace of how quick it was going to take off. We played that show, and it was packed out, and there were people at the front singing lyrics, and we sold a crazy amount of merch for it being our second show. And then within probably a month, we had our first tour offer, and that was touring with To The Grave on their Director's Cut album. So yeah, it was moving quick already. So as soon as that stuff started happening, we had a booking agent at that second show show up just to check us out. We'd been in light conversations with different agents, and that's where we met Emily. She's our booking agent at Destroy All Lines. If you're from Australia, you definitely know that Destroy All Lines is like the booking agency. Like all the sick bands come through Destroy All Lines, and if they're too big, then they'll come from Live Nation. So like that was pretty much like the goal.
Especially anything international, right? Like if someone, if bands from like our kind of scene are coming over to Australia, best believe it's a Destroy All Lines like arranged thing for sure, right?
Yeah, and like I think it's they get the right bands over. It's like once you hit a certain size overseas, from what I can see, that's when the offer comes from DAL. But any band, I guess, worth their salt usually comes through DAL. They very much look after the bands that they bring over. Like there's definitely a few other like pretty notable booking agents here, but for us, it just was always going to be like, well, we're on Grayscale, we're on Nuclear Blast. The one that makes sense is Destroy All Lines. And yeah, we got picked up after that show. And then that's when the first tour offer came in with To The Grave. And yeah, as soon as we finished playing that show, we had a tour offer to open the Cattle Decapitation Fallujah Australian tour on all dates. So yeah, I guess you can kind of see this trajectory was just like really steep climb. And then we finished that one up, and we had a festival offer. So we played to like probably like 1,500 people over in Adelaide at this festival they do called Froth and Fury. They hold it in a brewery, which is pretty sick, and they pull over like legendary Australian acts. They get like bands that have been retired, they pull them out of retirement to headline. We had Suicidal Tendencies headline or something like that. So it was like a massive festival, and yeah, it was just sick. We got to play our first festival within like 6 months of establishing ourselves as a touring act. So yeah, and I guess like everything sort of just followed suit from there. We got picked up by Avocado Bookings for Europe, and then yeah, within like 4 months or something like that, we got the offer for Ingested, and then yeah, we went over and did that, and it's just been back to back after that.
That was with Fallujah too, right?
Yeah, they're our fucking boys, man. Because we did that Australian tour with them on the cattle run, and they're like closer to our age than cattle decapitation is. So we broke down with Fallujah a fair bit. We were like hanging out with them on off days, and like at the time smoking up and shit like that. So yeah, it was real cool. We got to become homies with those guys, and then we got on that tour, and it was just like really rare to see two bands do two separate back-to-back tours. Like the last band we had toured with was Fallujah, and it was the same for them as well. So we got over there, and then we got to spend a month with them. And even with Volvodinia, me and Mason have been friends with Luke from Volvo for like since 2019. My old band's last show that we played was supporting Volvodinia, and Mace was on tour with them at the time. So, we went into our first European tour surrounded by friends. It was only Ingested that we didn't know, and it ended with us hiring Lynn as our manager. So it went pretty well.
Yeah. At least one-sided, You guys thought it was cool, at least, at minimum. Yeah.
So the way I see it is you guys did the work before, like you managed to create a perfect first impression, I think, for most people, because instead of doing the work, and I want to know if you agree with that, but like the way I see it is you did all the work prior to everything. So everything was ready. You did all of that. So like instead of doing that work once you're signed and once you're playing shows and creating that impression, you just arrived at the level of a band who's already doing all of it. So you protected your first impression for everybody. Would that be fair to say? That's kind of how I see it.
That's probably the best way I've heard it summarized. Like that is 100% what we did. I just knew I wanted to hit the ground running, and I wanted to be prepared. I didn't want to slowly drip feed things. I don't necessarily think I was like, I'd never considered that I was protecting our first impression. I was just like, I just want to make sure that everything's ready to go. So I'm not waiting. I'm pretty impatient. I want things to happen immediately as soon as it's in talks.
Well, you've been patient,
that's what I was going to say. You're patient for 2 years, so then not be patient afterwards.
I think that could potentially be why I'm not so patient anymore. Like as soon as I get a sniff of any opportunity or something that could arise, I'm looking for every angle to speed up the process in an efficient way. So it's actually crazy that you perfectly summarized that, protecting our first impression. Yeah.
It's rare that I hear that about my English. I'm going to take the compliment. It's really great.
Dude, that's perfect. Yeah.
Thank you. But that's how I see it. And it's rare also because it's difficult to do, right? Like it's to start, with perspective, it makes sense, but it's easier said than done. You do videos and we all know how much it's a lot of work. It's a lot of investment and stuff like that. The first thing you want to do is click on publish, right? And it's just like you did it. You're just like, you want the world to see it.
Anecdotally, like a lot of the bands that we cover, the younger bands, they like record a song at home or they record a song somewhere. And like the second they get back home with it, they're already uploading it to Bandcamp and telling everyone that it's out. But then it takes 2 days for Spotify to process. And they're like, sorry guys, it'll be out in another 2 days on Spotify. So I definitely understand the impatient part of it,
Yeah. It's like, I think like there's definitely a balance between being impatient but also not showing my hand too early or our hand too early. Like I need to be sure that the finished product is something I'm happy with, otherwise I'm just going to be like pissed at it. Like even History Rotten Teeth, I think within like a couple of months of that being released, I was like, fuck, like I wish I went back through and did like so many changes. And I know that's the way for a lot of creative people, but like it kind of speaks volumes about the new release that we've got coming, because it's the time spent reworking and not settling. Like I think that was like almost the vision for the entire thing is like, we are not settling on anything recorded that we're not 100% stoked about. But yeah, like I remember back in the day, like MySpace era, which yeah, obviously you guys are pretty versed with. Bands had their pre-pro on the thing. Like I had MySpace rips of like the Red Shore pre-pro, like Flesh Couture and like Knives and Wolves and shit. So it's like crazy to come from an era where it was completely acceptable to release your demos as a single almost. And then like a year later be like, oh, here's the actual version, guys. And it's like more often than not, the pre-pro version slapped way harder. But yeah, like it's just not my way. I like to ensure that the product and the art that we are putting out is something that I want representative of us.
Well, you have a great business perspective, which I'm guessing the labels must love working with you because, like, you're somebody who understands. Like, I'm sure you get that a lot, or I would be surprised. But would you say, because you mentioned MySpace, right? And it's impossible for us to hear MySpace without getting into it. But I'm kind of curious to know if maybe seeing all those success stories from bands, since you have a great business perspective, was that always fascinating for you to see how they succeeded, all those bands, you know, Suicide Silence, Mitch, and all of that? Like, did you have that angle of just being interested by success stories, I guess?
I think I probably, like, because I was like, I would have been like ages like 13 through to like 16 when I was on MySpace, when I was really like on MySpace.
Yeah.
And I think I was seeing it more on a local level. Like, I was obviously really into like Suicide Silence and stuff like that, but bands like the Red Shore, that was like the biggest like success story of the Australian MySpace era for me personally. And it was more just being a teenager and being like, that's fucking cool. Like, I could see that they were doing well. Like, they were touring with like Bleeding Through and stuff in Australia, and I thought that was the craziest shit ever. And I guess the way that they did it back then is not really how it works these days. So I've never really been able to implement watching how they did it back then. And I think I was probably a bit too naive to really understand the scope of what success looked like in that era. I knew that if you had heaps of MySpace friends, you were popular. That was pretty much the extent of my knowledge towards it, just being a young, naive kid. But the MySpace era sort of, I'd say, more so shaped my taste in music rather than like my mentality towards driving a band.
Makes a lot of sense. Now, I was asking simply because, like, and we can get into maybe the videos, the ideas and stuff like that, but I was asking that because you seem really conscious, even in terms of image. Like, you look at the band, you mentioned Slipknot, I'm seeing the outfits, I'm seeing all the stuff you're doing. It feels like there's not a single detail that it's not like thought of or like pictured. So like, I feel like you had such a good comprehensive mind about like all the success stories. I was like, did he just like kind of always was fascinated by that? But I guess it's probably with perspective that you understood all these things, right? It's with all the perspective afterwards and like being able now to look at it would be a better way of seeing it.
Yeah. I mean, well, then the thing is, right, I am an insane person. And all I think about is music and the band. Like that's like nearly, it takes up like 90% of my thinking. I'm sitting there watching something on TV and I am thinking about some business move or like some aesthetic thing we could try or something we can do live or like a song idea. I'm constantly like thinking about it. So no stone really gets unturned because I'm doing it all the time mentally. Like, it's all I'm ever thinking about. So like, and I think like you mentioned on image as well, that was like almost our mission statement immediately was to stand out. We don't, like, I've always grown up loving bands that had a really strong image like Slipknot. And like the nu metal era, like even if their image was like everyone was wearing Adidas like Korn, it was still something cohesive and it was almost like an identifier. You don't forget the bands that stand out like that. And I think that's where that sort of led me. It was like, I was really into Cradle of Filth for like a long time. When I started this band, that was what I was probably listening to the most. And all I could think of in that aspect was, I'm like, I wanted to, at the time, create like a deathcore Cradle of Filth. Like, there'd been like deathcore Dimmu Borgir, or at least that's what I would consider like early Shadow of Intent.
Sure.
But like there was that sort of vibe, and because Cradle was so theatrical on how they dressed and like all their on stage props and all their music videos and stuff, that was sort of like the early blueprint. It's definitely shifted over the years, but it's always just been like we have to maintain a strong image. It came as importantly as the music for us.
It's kind of, I guess, the more gothic side to it, which that in deathcore isn't really much of a thing, right?
No, not at all. And I think that's where the business mind kind of clicked in, because I already look like this on my day-to-day. Like I wear eyeshadow every single day. Granted, I do dress a bit more intense with our on-stage persona, but I work retail, so I can't really go too hard on how I look. I'm going to scare the shit out of our customers. But like this is like, I'll probably rock up to work looking like this today, like grills in and everything. So like it was always me. But I definitely saw almost like a leg up. I knew that there wasn't any bands doing this sound that looked like us. And as soon as we sort of got together and like sort of discussed like general aesthetics of the band, it really just made sense to go all in. Like the black body paint, the contact lenses, like everyone's wearing eye makeup, everyone's got their own like unique outfit and stuff like that. That made the most sense. And as soon as we figured that out, I was like, okay, this is as important as the music to me. It goes with the visuals as well. Like music videos and stuff are as important as the song itself. So yeah, that was it was definitely a thought out move for sure.
And we keep talking about it because I know a lot of people are just like, oh no, it's just the music. But if you were being real and in this world, the image is as important. Honestly, it's as important. You know, I keep saying it. Like, look at all the biggest bands we had, like just Mitch Locker and all these people. They all have an image. You know, you think about a band and you have a person, or you have an image, Slipknot and all that stuff. So it does really, you know, you have to at least think about it a little bit. Which brings me to my question. I'm curious, if it's not too personal, was that easy for you to kind of talk with the band about that stuff? Like, was everybody on board kind of instantly, or was you kind of had to convince a little bit to go there?
If I would have had to have convinced anyone, they wouldn't have been in the project. I was pretty, like, it wasn't even that I was stern about it. It was immediately understood that if you were in the band, that's what you dress like on stage. Josh comes from a very similar musical background to me. Like, he's same age as me, both brought up in the MySpace era, and he's like a walking like dictionary of MySpace bands, especially like hardcore bands and stuff like that. But he also really grew up on like Orange County metalcore scene, like Bleeding Through, 18 Visions, Atreyu, and then also Cradle and Dimmu Borgir and black metal bands like that. He was in that same sort of mindset. Me and him sort of, I guess, run the day-to-day and have since the start of the band. So it was pretty much understood that like any person that I sort of came to with an offer to like try out or to like join the band, it was almost went without saying. It's like, that's how we're looking. Like we're dressing this certain way, we're doing this purely because A, we love it, and B, like I can't deal with seeing another black hoodie, faceless, like deathcore or metalcore band. It bores the hell out of me. I forget who they are immediately. Like I know in myself that every single frontman that I've ever like really looked up to has had a very iconic look. Every single band has had an image. Everyone's had an aesthetic. All the bands I love that have stuck around for years and have gotten better over time, the visuals and the aesthetics has been as important as the sound.
And even outside of metal, right? I mean, like, it goes with every, like, we're talking about music. I mean, like, one of my favorite band is actually Blink-182 still to this day, you know? But, like, you think about these guys and it's just, like, you have the image, you know those guys. Like, you look at Travis and all these people, and it's the same everywhere, you know? So you need an image that pops to your mind. If you think about it, it cannot be just the music itself. You need, like, a visual image.
I think one thing that people sort of need to remember, especially working with labels and stuff like that. It's like music is art and everything first and foremost. But if as soon as you take it down a business path, you're now a product to these labels. And it's like, I guess it does suck. I wish we could all just put out our art and it could speak for itself, but that's just not the era we live in. So as soon as you're a product, you need to have strong branding. Like, think about all the brands and stuff that we all love and know, like Coca-Cola and Apple and stuff like that. That's strong, cohesive branding. It has its own image, and it has its own aesthetic it sticks to, and it's unapologetic about. Like, even back into music, like, I listen to so much hip hop. All my favorite hip hop artists have a very strong aesthetic. Like dudes like Suicide Boys and Bones and like people like that, they have a very strong visual aesthetic, and that's what first and foremost is going to grab you before you really pay attention to the sound.
Yeah, I think in music we're kind of lucky in a sense that like artwork and music videos and all these things that are kind of required to portray that aesthetic, you need to do those anyways, right? Like so you may as well, and you're like an artist already. It's not like you're doing some like tech thing and then you're like, fuck, I have to do art for this. Like, no, you're making music, and now you have to think about another artistic element to accompany it. Like, it's not like that far out. I think a lot of people that have like a truly like a creative mind, they don't really care so much to have to market their band aesthetically, right? And to think about cool artwork or cool ideas for videos and stuff like that. Like, it doesn't have to do with like, oh, I have to do a TikTok dance. That's not what people are asking, right? It's just let's just have an identity. And I think that's like a cool thing to tap into when you're minded to it.
Yeah, I love everything about doing that kind of stuff. I love music videos. I love coming up with, proof of concepts for music videos. I love envisioning things because like I grew up like downloading videos off of LimeWire to watch rather than just getting music, or I'd like
viruses.
Yes. Oh God, bro. The amount of times I'd click on like a song that's like Slipknot, Mudvayne, all these bands together, and it's just like some fucking shit song, or it fucked my parents' computer. Like it was truly a sign of the times back then. But like even stuff like as far as like watching horror movies when I was a kid back in the early 2000s, they always had like nu metal soundtracks. And there would always be special features on the DVD where the music videos would be on there and stuff. Like, I think a big one for me was Underworld Evolution. Atreyu had the lead single. Atreyu's like neck and neck my favorite band with Slipknot. And that music video in particular, for Her Portrait in Black, that was on the DVD. And I already loved that band, but that just pushed my love for it more. It also helped me consume more horror movies, like, because I'd find out, oh, this band's on the soundtrack. That means that movie's going to be sick. Like Queen of the Damned. Like, that was a 90-minute commercial for nu metal. It was sick. And like, I think because I've been brought up that way, I've always put music videos and visuals and stuff like that as I've sat them as high as the music. I'm like, I need to make the music because then I can't make the visuals. Like if I don't do that. So, and I granted, like doing music video shoots is grueling. Like they're long days and there's a lot of time and planning and effort that goes into it. Like this album cycle, we spent 5 days shooting, and they were like 14-hour days every day. So it was a chore, but it was a labor of love. Like I genuinely love doing that stuff. I think it's the sickest thing ever.
Well, if we can kind of tap into that for a second, like you guys, and I'd love to also talk about just the horror ethereal music video too, in the escape room, and just like that whole thing too. But just specifically, I guess for like the new stuff, and I guess the newer song, "All Is Rust," like that. I mean, you're talking about the 5 days of shooting, and I'm assuming there's more than just the one song out of that. But there's, for that music video specifically, I'm seeing videos, some behind the scenes stuff about how you guys built out the set yourselves. You're working closely with friends to shoot the music video. We're talking about, okay, since then you guys have put out like a bass playthrough, a guitar playthrough. You have like, it's not a vocal playthrough, but you have an ad where it's just your POV, right? So you guys are shooting like these extra things on top of just shooting the music video, right? So can you kind of talk to us, I guess, about like some of that, I don't know, the effort that goes into all that stuff? Because I think it's kind of like underrated, you know, how much effort you guys seem to be putting into all these things.
Yeah, of course. I appreciate you picking up on that as well. There's been a lot of effort, and I think the biggest takeaway from all of this is Google Calendars is my best friend. I like if you saw our calendar for like our scheduled posts, it's batshit insane. Like I probably spent a good 4 hours just planning the calendar out. But I think this, and it's also like learning from experience and trying to keep up with the times. Obviously, like we work pretty closely with Sabian from Elf because he is a part of Grayscale Records actual team. He does a lot of their social media and, you know, bits of marketing and stuff. And something he said to me really stuck with me is every piece of content you put out on social media is like physically handing a flyer to someone. So don't worry about the views, don't worry about the likes, don't worry about the comments. If that pops up with someone, that's them receiving a flyer from you saying, this is what we are, this is what we're about. And I think planning going into this, and it was a lot of looking back on hindsight, the way we rolled out the first album, I wasn't overly happy with. Like we definitely got sick opportunities off it, but I feel like we kind of missed the mark due to being not stuck in our old ways, but misunderstanding what the current climate of social media was. Like we just sort of rolled with put the video out, we'll post like maybe once a week about it. And people's attention spans are too short. You have to bombard people. It's like, sure, you might annoy some people and they might unfollow you or whatever. But for the most part, that's how you gain traction. That's how you gain followers. That's how you gain engagement. That's how you gain a fan. So I think before we went into this, when we started planning out the music videos, I immediately sort of went with, this is a good opportunity for us to extract more content out while we're all dressed for set. We've got cool backgrounds and we've got a crew there. So Sean, who is our media, he's like, he does all our photography and videography except for our music videos. We bring him with him absolutely everywhere we can. So we brought Sean down for 5 days. And I just gave him a list. I'm like, can you shoot all these things? Can you shoot behind the scene content? Can you get photos? Can you get, while we're setting up for this part of the music video in the other room, we've got a set already dressed. Can you do like just 15, 30 seconds of each song? Get bass, guitar, all that kind of stuff. We've got drum runs coming as well. It's just, I came in way more prepared and way more tapped into how the current climate of social media is. So we were planned for it, and it's only going to keep going from here. Like I have a lot of friends hitting me up at shows and stuff like that and just being like, yo, how much fucking content do you guys have? And I'm like, brother, it's like 30 plus per single. It's the idea is not a single day goes by without a piece of content being posted. And the results show. I think since we've posted that one single 3 weeks ago now, gone up 1,000 followers. And our streams are running way stronger than they ever were. We've got way more monthly listeners than we had off of the whole release of the last album, just off one single. There's something to say in being completely prepared for that. I guess it goes back to that.
A good advice, I think, too, because like I feel like because you're talking about all that stuff and it makes sense, but like I feel like it could be easily just I'm gonna call it underrated for most, you know, upcoming bands and stuff like that. They're just like, oh, so what? We put the music and what happens. But like on the other end, like if you do what you do and you post every single day, it doesn't mean that it's all gonna work, but at least you're putting all the chances you have, like any single chances you have is there, as opposed to maybe it could have been. So if you have the choice between both, just post as much as I can, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like you said, it is very underrated. And something Sabian once again said to me is just like bands these days are scared to post their single like more than once. It's just like
that's forever been a thing, though.
I know, right?
You go back 20 years and people put out a music video and they don't want to share it on Facebook the next day because they posted it the day before. And I'm like, okay, post it once and never post it again, but no one's gonna fucking see it, you know?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing, right? I'm like it's just like I back what we're doing, and it's just like I'm not necessarily putting out so much content for the people that are already following us. Putting out so much content because I want new people to see it. And like still like our notifications don't stop because we put out so much content. Stuff from 2 weeks ago is still getting liked. Like where the way I guess Instagram in particular sort of pushes the algorithm, it stuff that you've posted like a while back will pop up in people's feeds just like a few days later or whatever. And like if you follow someone, the first thing you see when you refresh your feed is a piece of content from them, and it's usually like days old. So
yeah,
I guess going into the mindset of like we're not necessarily doing it for the people that already follow us. We're doing it to put ourselves out there, and it doesn't matter what amount of interaction each post get because any one of those posts could be the one that blows up. Like I think at the moment, like one of our like maybe our bass playthrough has like some of the highest engagement we've got, and it's just like 30 seconds of Toby playing bass. It's kind of nuts. But yeah, there's something to be said about being confident in your product and pushing it, like actually pushing it. Like how bad do you want it? Like, do you want it bad enough to post every single day? Do you want it bad enough to like make enough content for 4 or 5 months to post every day? So, and it's just like, we put so much time and effort into this album. The time and effort doesn't stop when it's released or when we're rolling it out. That's when the real work begins.
We always say this.
Yeah, we usually say, we actually said that.
People think all the work to be able to get your break. No, you get your break and then the work begins. So that's a classic, classic thing for sure. Because you have to capitalize on the momentum at that point, right? Like,
yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of people kind of do that. They kind of aren't prepared for success or don't capitalize on anything that's being thrown at them. And then, you again, it kind of goes back to, you're talking about social media and how things work now. It's like, if you're not consistently showing up, people just fucking forget about you. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. Right.
Yeah, it is. And it's, sorry. You're right. You're good.
No, it was about you. You can go. Honestly, I was kind of completing what he was saying. So
yeah. No, well, I mean, it's just back to the attention span thing. Like even I like have a shitty attention span these days. Like Reels and TikTok have fucking rotted everyone's brains for better or for worse.
Amen.
Like we'll sit, like you discover some cool shit on there, but like it's just so fast moving that like the flavor of the week dies off in a day rather than a week. So you gotta keep yourself in people's faces and you gotta stay relevant.
Like you said it really well. I mean, I'm not kidding. I'm watching a movie and I'm proud of myself. I didn't check my phone during the movie. It's pathetic if you say it like that, to be proud of that. But I'm like, yes, I didn't check my phone. Like it's as stupid as that. And I think you said something really important, by the way. You said I'm posting for new people. And like the thing is, when you really pay attention, no real fan is going to be upset to see content by something they like, like I mentioned Blink-182, they could post 50 times in a day and I wouldn't unfollow. I would be like, I love that. I love them, so the people you lose were not people engaging really or really caring about what you do in the first place, right? So we shouldn't be scared about bartering, I guess, your fans or something. So I think it's important to,
I think you're just sifting through who the fair weather fans are and who the real ones are when it comes to that sort of thing. And yeah, like I said, like I don't really want engagement from those people anyway. Like it's like if you're just following for like, oh, this is the flavor of the week for me, it's just like I don't really care to have you as a fan if you're not 100% in, because I'm 100% in. So if you like what we're doing, then that's what I expect.
Yep. The ratio is something underrated as well, like having 10 good comments of people who really care and they're waiting for something is better to have like just like 100 like people writing just like an emote because they don't care and they're just like, oh, that's pretty cool, so there's that as well.
Well, it's like we've got some of our fans, like, and this is something I do notice with a lot of bands at our level is, and I think there's something to be said about a lot of the really successful bands over time, Slipknot, yeah, Korn, Rammstein, all those kind of bands. They have cult fans like that. They live and breathe that band. There's a dude in Brisbane who has our logo tattooed on the side of his fucking head. Like, we've got bands,
the one,
dude.
the logo you guys changed.
I'm seeing that guy's coming to. So as soon as he got that tattoo, I DM'd him and I'm like, brother, you've got free entry to any of our shows for the rest of time. I'll be seeing him in a week or two, and I'll be apologizing for changing our logo. But here's the thing, right?
Look, he's got another side to his head, you know. You can, you're gonna figure that one out.
Well, it's like here's the thing, right? We've got probably 5 or 6 different logos. We've got one that we use for our branding, but it doesn't mean that we'll never use that logo again. We'll use that as merch options. We might get offered a tour where it's like a particular way. Like if it's like some kind of black and deathcore tour, I'm thinking like, oh, that logo makes more sense to put on the flyer. Put that one on the flyer. Yeah. If we're doing a new metal tour, I'm looking at this one here. Like, I just think, and this, like, it's another thing as well. I think sometimes bands change their logos for the better. I think Thy Art, honestly, was probably one of them. I prefer their new logo to their OG one. But then you can see it on the other side.
Contentious opinion in this room.
Yeah.
I love the old logo too much, but fair. They're so different that I understand. But the old one for me is like one of my favorites. So I was like,
really? Not that it's a bad logo. I just think that their new one's better branding.
Easier to read and more and seems bigger. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. But then there's bands like Whitechapel where they changed their logo for a bit. No, it's not about it. Like their OG logo fucking rocks. So, but and that's the thing. Like I said, we'll never. Like, it doesn't mean that we'll never use that logo again. It just means that this is our current branding. Like we might move into the next album cycle and I might be like, no, that logo's done. But I guess this one made the most sense to me. Like I was like, it just felt like we were moving in a direction where it was a bit less just unreadable, unlegible, deathcore logo orientated. And I was like, it needs to be somewhere along the lines of Slipknot. And I worship Slipknot. So like at least the first 3 albums. But yeah, this guy that got our logo tattooed on his head, I'll definitely be apologizing for that. But he's not the only one, man. There's like, I think probably 6 or 7 Melancholia logo tattoos out there. And most of them are in Europe, which is really cool. Like we left that good of an impression immediately. But I guess running it back to what I was saying, like bands that create cult fan bases like that are the ones that have the longevity. And I do see it in a lot of bands that are at a similar level to us. Like, yeah, they'll have fans or they'll have like a heap of followers, but I'm not seeing that kind of commitment to to what they're doing. And I think that speaks volumes to say that we're doing something right. We're speaking to people and connecting to people in a way that I guess others are sort of lacking in that area.
I often say that like I'm spiritual and I'm aware that it's not everybody who's like that, but like I'm hearing a lot of manifestation and a lot of the law of attraction basically in what you do, right? Because you say people care, but look at how much you care in what you do, right? Because like honestly, it is a thing. Like if like it needs to start with you. Like if you care and you put like every single detail and you put everything, well, people are going to give it back. But if you're there because it's cool for a moment, the opposite
is easier to portray, right? Like it shows and it has an impact when you don't give a shit, right?
Yeah,
and that translates.
People can feel that. Yeah.
So, I think from word go, since I was like 12 years old, starting this out, even earlier, like so I got into metal when I was 7. And from the moment I saw the Slipknot Disaster Pieces DVD, I 100% knew in my being, I was like, I'm doing that. That's what I'm going to do. And there's never been a moment of doubt, really. There's been times where I've been like, I wouldn't say I was heavily questioning things. It's just like an inkling of like, shit, is this the right thing to do? But I've always been proven correct every single time. And there's I've always had the mindset of, if you don't stop, you don't fail. If like you really want it that bad, you will have it. And there's a lot of people that I know that say they want it bad, but they obviously don't want it bad enough because they give up. And it's just never been me. I've just always known in myself that like, this is the most important thing in my life. This is what I'm on this earth to do. And that could be trivial to some people, but fuck them, honestly. Like, this is the whole thing. And everyone in the band has that exact same mindset. Like, I know Mason, our drummer, he has like a list of daily affirmations that he says to himself every day. Like, I have a few that I say to myself every fucking day to make sure I keep going. The daily affirmations have only proven me correct since I started doing them.
It does work. It does work, you know? And by the way, I love hearing that because, like, I don't know if you're like me, but like, there's a lot of people who look at success stories or hear stuff like that, and maybe a bit of jealousy comes up. But in me, there's none of that. Like, if I hear something like that, I'm just like super kind of rooting and just happy for people. And I feel like you attract that as well.
Yeah, I'm inspired by it.
I was about to ask you that basically, if you know, maybe you saw a success story and you were just like kind of happy and you saw yourself there, and maybe it's part of the process as well.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's a weird one to, I guess, point out, but it's one of the biggest success stories I've seen in the music industry, like the modern music industry, is watching the trajectory of Suicide Boys. I was there from the first mixtape. I came across it on Facebook, and I wasn't even really into rap that much at the time. And as soon as I saw it and I saw the aesthetics and everything, I was like, whoa, this is sick. And they were like small. They were still like hectic drug addicts from fucking New Orleans. Like, they weren't doing anything crazy notable, but they were starting to pick up traction. And over the years, like, I've only loved their music more and more, but I've just watched them go like this. And all of a sudden now they're selling out arenas. Like, they're making crazy amounts of money. They've got hectic fans. They were like the most streamed independent artists of last year, I think. Like, that was that success story. That's what I was like, if dudes like that, and I mean, I've had my struggles in the past, especially with, like, you know, drug and alcohol addiction and stuff like that. Watching dudes like that take it to the level they have has only ever inspired me. And I think that's been like a bit of a blueprint in the back of my mind the whole time. Like, I'm just like, all right, it can happen. And that, like, if someone else can do it, that means I can do it. So yeah, I definitely get inspired by that sort of stuff, especially like it's cool to see it outside my genre, but it's even better when you see bands, like, especially in Australia. Anytime a band in Australia takes off, it's like we all win. Anytime a band makes it to overseas, like, because it's so hard to break out of Australia, it's so isolated and far away. Everything's super expensive to do outside of Australia. Even within Australia, it's expensive.
That's what I was gonna say. It's almost not any easier within. So
yeah, I mean, and it's like, dude, even this regional tour we're about to do is probably going to cost us like close to the money we spent to go to Europe. Like, it's crazy. It's nuts. Like, where every major city is so far apart, it's flights or it's long driving, and it's rough. But like, if we see a band in Australia break out, then everyone wins. It's like, you know, you see bands like Parkway Drive, like, they were like the unsung heroes of the Australian scene. And they were, I don't think there's a single dude or a girl or in a heavy band today in Australia that didn't grow up loving Parkway Drive. They were just, you know, our heroes. That our generation's AC/DC. Like, so sick, I think man. That it's imbued in everyone that's in a band. Like, you watch the success story of a couple of dudes from Byron Bay surfers, like, and they came from like a small DIY hardcore scene, and now they just played the Sydney Opera House, which is like the highest honor you can receive in Australia. So dude, I think it's imbued
looks fucking insane, dude. That was such a cool.
There's a few people I know that went. Yeah, a few people I know went, and they said it was like one of the best shows they've ever seen in their life. And it's, the Opera House is a very prestigious venue in Australia. Like, they don't just let anyone play there. So
it's the building everyone who's not from Australia knows about, you know, for beginners.
It blows my mind too. Like, I get it. It's an iconic looking building, but fucking low key, I hate Sydney. It's the fucking worst place ever. Like, I love the people there. I love the shows there, but the city itself, like, it's just fucking shit.
Fair enough, but it makes it, you know, because I heard it a few times about Australia, right? Like you mentioned the Red Shore and Parkway Drive, and when I was talking with Josh from a band called The Element, he was telling me about the Parkway Drive and stuff like that. It makes it special in a way, though, because like since it's so difficult and stuff, it feels like everybody there is rooting, right, for a project. Did you feel a little bit of that in your like? I know times have changed a little bit on that side now with online stuff like that, but do you feel some of it, some of that like local kind of people rooting for you to succeed type thing?
You're going to Europe and stuff like that, like actually breaking out.
Yeah.
Man, like, so I grew up in a regional town in Victoria, population of like 7,000 people. It was a pretty small place. And me and my brother and a couple of my friends were like the only metal dudes, or like emos, or whatever you want to call us. We were the only ones in that town. And it's crazy. There was like a few of the older guys in that town that were playing in bands and stuff like that. And it's crazy years later, like I have a couple of them, like I've run into a few of them, and they just over the moon gushing with how proud they are to like see like me specifically coming from such a small town to see that like I never gave up and that like it's showing success. Like we go to local shows and like all my friends are like so stoked to see us breaking out and, you know, actually trying to make something of it. And we get a lot of random people I've never seen before. Every time I'm at a local show will stop me and say like, it's really cool that you guys are doing this. It's really cool to see you guys out there and succeeding. I definitely feel it. I think there's a very much a really tight knit community across the Australian scene in general. Like it's not a very small scene, but it's not a massive scene either. We all kind of know each other. We all run in similar circles. And because of that, everyone is stoked when anyone does anything. Like I remember watching Alpha Wolf break out at the time, like, and it's still like, I don't really listen to their music much. It's not so much my thing, but it's still so sick to see a band from my era when I was playing local shows. I've got flyers in my old band where Alpha Wolf is playing like two bands before my old band and shit like that. Mm-hmm. But it's just like, you see bands like that break out and actually have success with it. And it's like I said, we all win because it just puts a bigger marker on Australia. And I think for the longest time, it's a pretty common thing to say there's something in the water in Australia. Because all our bands fucking rule, and it's true, they do. No matter what the genre is, we do what we do well, and it's because it's so hard to break out. You have no choice but to be good.
Well, if I may, we talk about it pretty much every day because we love the techie, because there was a specific kind of deathcore, you know, the Red Shore, like super technical and stuff like that. And especially I'm talking about, I see Dums right now, like it's his top favorite.
The Australian, like the fast technical deathcore that's come out of Australia in like the early 2010s is like to this day some of my favorite stuff personally. But yeah, I'd be curious to know, like from your point of view, old or new, what would be like some underrated Australian deathcore bands that we need to know about?
I mean, I'll sing praises forever for the Red Shore. Like I obviously, like, they had their time and they definitely were at the forefront of Australian deathcore. Like they were the band. But I still think that was the band that they had so much more potential. I think they could have taken it so much more further. And obviously they had a lot of tragedy within that band. They had a lot of lineup changes. But they will forever be my like all-time favorite Australian band. I've got TRS tattooed on my ankle that I did on myself with like a shitty eBay machine when I was 15. Like I was
dedicated.
Dude, they put out Unconsecrated, and I'd been listening to them since before Damo died. Rest in peace to that man. I was listening to them before that, and they put out Unconsecrated, and I had it blaring in my room at 3 a.m. and I just like picked up my tattoo machine and just put TRS on my ankle. And I don't know if either of you have ever seen the Red Shore DVD where they play live. Yeah, I was at that show.
No way. That's sick. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that DVD is one of my most watched things I've ever seen. Like that was probably the final push for me to really go for it. I was just dipping my toes into more extreme music at the time. I was still very into, I guess, Parkway Drive and like I Killed the Prom Queen was a good segue for me into this sort of music. But as soon I saw the Red Shore live, I hadn't heard them before, and I went, "Oh, dude, like this is what I want." I went immediately up to merch and bought a shirt. So like, and then that was kind of, I never looked back after that. And so I guess bands that spawned from that era. So you've got this band from Geelong that existed for a while called A Fallen Theory. They I think they only ever put out like 6 or 7 songs, and they were very much in that pre-pro sort of vibe. But they were like probably a more deathcore version of the Red Shore. It's a sick one to check out if you can find it. There's a song called Frozen Deception. That song fucking rules. It's got like everything you would want in a tech deathcore song.
Yeah.
He's taking notes. We're gonna listen to it.
A Fallen Theory. A Frozen Deception. Your Body Went Cold is another banger from that one. And it's like they've got everything that you would want. It's like Gravity Blast and like Sweet Picking and stuff like that. And then you've got Hiroshima Will Burn, which is a pretty dicey name. Dude, I know the guys in Hiroshima. Like I think this is the thing, right? That's really crazy is growing up worshipping these bands, and now a lot of them are my friends. Like Jace from the Red Shore is like one of my mates, and that still every time I see him, I just talk his ear off about the Red Shore. I had Jake Green from the Red Shore. One time I was in a shopping center, like a mall, and I was getting a coffee, and someone tapped me on the shoulder, and I turned around and he goes, "Hey man, you're from that band I'm Noir, aren't you?" And that was my old band, and I just like jaw dropped, eyes wide, and I was like, "You're Jake Green from the Red Shore." And he was like, "Yeah, man." And that was like still to this day one of the craziest things that's ever like happened to me, getting like recognized by one of my goats. Hiroshima Will Burn, like those guys were fucking crazy good. The singer is still like really into heavy music, and he still comes out to shows sometimes. I know one of the guitarists is in a shoegaze band now called Bad Juju. And I think one of the guitarists went on to play in a band called Confession, which was the ex-vocalist of Prom Queen's second band. Hiroshima, that was another sick one. Signal the Firing Squad, that's an all-timer.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, dude.
But okay.
You mentioned it like 50 billion times. Yeah.
Which of the 2 albums do you prefer? I gotta know.
Oh,
because it's so different, right?
There we go.
It is. Look, I came in on the second album.
Yeah.
So I think it was the song Abominator.
Yeah.
The snare in it is what got me. It was so like exaggerated and so like poppy that I think that's what kind of sucked me in. If you talk to Mace, he'll go the OG first album. He's also like a walking dictionary of MySpace deathcore. He'll go first. I'll go second. And then even like obviously like Viart's first EP was like we all know it's unbelievable. And I was fortunate enough, I caught one show with Brendan Van Ryn on vocals when I was like 15. And you know what was crazy is I don't think I appreciated it that much at the time. I was just like, hey, whatever. Looking back, it was like, fuck man, like the amount of people in this world that would have killed to see that. Like OG Viart lineup is nuts.
There's like these like 2 new videos that were put up online that no one had seen before, like 2 weeks ago from like some of their first shows they ever played, and
he sent me that. I had goosebumps too.
It seems to be like his dad who posted these 2 videos, and he had another from like that he posted like three years ago, whatever. But yeah,
dude, I spent
crazy
years
shit.
Hoping he would come back in the project. I'm not kidding. I spent years hoping I would see Brendan in anything just to hear those high-pitched, insane vocals, like just once again, you know? Like we've got Infinite Dead, so...
Yeah, I think he's well and truly off the radar these days. No one, even in the Australian scene, no one really knows like where he is, what he's doing. And I'm sure they had their reasons for parting ways. I mean, I'm about to go on tour with Viart, so yeah, maybe I'll punish Marshy and see if he knows any information about it. But yeah, like I think those were probably the goats of the MySpace era for me. There was definitely some smaller acts. There was this band that only ever put out 2 songs. They were called Dethroned. They were sick. Okay. They came out like really in the thick of the Viart Red Shore come up. And it was sort of a little bit more hardcore infused with the vocal work. But I remember they had this drummer that was 14 years old, and he was a fucking freak. Like he to this day was like one of the most impressive drummers I've ever seen. And it was the same thing again. They all just kind of disappeared. Like no one really knows where they went. There was a band local to me called Allegiant Defiled. They were sick.
Okay.
There was also the Savetta. They changed their name to Divinity of the Fallen. They were really sick. I was in a band with my older brother. I guess that's something I haven't touched on. My older brother is the singer of a band called Cerement, if you've heard of them.
I don't think I did.
They had a song pop off on TikTok like 2 years ago. It's a very similar vein to probably our first album. Like me and him both grew up listening to metal together and learning to scream together. Like he taught me how to scream. And I always did it secondary to guitar, but I switched over obviously. But he sounds like my brother. He sounds very similar to my vocals, which is pretty cool. Me and him were in a band when I was 17. We were called I Dream of Nightmares, and we were a 6-piece. We had 3 guitarists and everything. It was Chelsea Grin, Whitechapel Worship. We only ever played a couple of shows, and we put out like 5 songs or something like that. If you can find that on the internet, I'll be fucking shocked.
How do you say it was called?
I Dream of Nightmares.
I dreamed of.
He's gonna
nightmares.
go in research mode, and he's pretty good at it. So
it's
actually
you might
terrifying.
you might be able to find like a MySpace riff, or if someone's uploaded it to YouTube, like there's potential there. I've never really looked because I've got it on my computer. So anytime I want to check back on it, I'll just listen on there. But yeah.
Well, look, if I don't find it, I'll have to hit you up.
Yeah.
Real
quick, I want to give an honorable mention really quick to the band Lover's Grave from Australia. They didn't exist very long.
Okay.
They were more in the metalcore world, but they were thick in the MySpace era. And House vs Hurricane. They're like,
dude, that band was so
them.
good.
Yeah,
I know that band.
Funny story is Dylan Stark, their bass player. He played in the band of Fallen Theory that I mentioned before. He was their bass player, and he also plays in my brother's band, Cerement now. So it's like some full circle shit.
That's so sick. Can I ask you something though? Because nobody seemed to remember that band. There's a band in Australia that we're both obsessed with. It was very underground, and it had 2 names for a while. At the end, it was called Pray for Death, and before that, it was Silence the End. Does that ring a bell? Or
Silence the End sounds familiar.
Okay.
I don't remember the second name.
We're trying to find any info about this band that we can, so we can't not ask the Australian on the podcast.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like our drummer Mason or our guitarist Josh will know, because they're both like super, like it's almost like their special interest is MySpace music. They would more than likely know. I'll also say I'm going to throw I Exult into the mix there, and I Valiance.
Hell yeah.
I Valiance were the band that could have been the biggest band in the whole genre. Everyone knows that, and I mean everyone's gone off to their separate projects. Obviously, like Mark went off to a Virgin's Crown for a while, and the rest of the boys started
a photo yesterday about I've Alliance or whatever. So
I think they might touch on it. The thing is, Matthias, their bass player, he's the one who wrote all their music. He's very much pursuing more of a rap career at the moment. So the jury's out on what they might do next. But Chris from iValiance is Thy Art's guitar tech. And I've known him for years and years. I've known the iValiance boys for a very, very long time. So, I'll be on tour with Chris next week. I'll ask him straight up if it's coming back. But there's always been potential there. I think they've never closed the chapter on it properly for a reason.
Yeah.
And they would have a wealth of songs there. I don't doubt for a second that Matthias has like probably 50 plus songs sitting on his computer. Yeah.
Just a quick, because there's like some ties to you. More recently from Australia, Zeolite is fucking underrated as shit, man.
Bro, those are our boys.
I love them so much, and nobody fucking talks about them. I don't know what it is.
Mason was the drummer of Zeolite before he was the drummer of our band. My old band, Noir, our first tour was with Zeolite. We shared a guitarist as well. Their ex-guitarist, Grant, he played in my old band. I've known Pat now for probably 8 years. He is Zeolite. He writes all the music. The new singer they've got was the singer of Autopsy, Zach. Known him for a very long time.
I didn't know that.
He's a fucking beast. I went to their album release show as well because my brother's band was playing, and obviously I wanted to go support the boys. But Zeolite fucking rule, man. They're just good dudes. Everyone in that band is a fucking legend. Like I think it's not that they suffer from it, but I think they choose not to push it too hard.
Yeah.
They all have like pretty like decent day jobs. Like I think Pat's like a radiologist. Actually, that's a funny one. Pat is in our music video.
Okay.
He's the doctor.
He's a doctor. Okay.
Yeah. So Pat from Zeolite. It's because he's a radiologist. He had half of the shit we needed for it.
Wow.
So yeah, he's
brought out like some of the scans and some of this stuff for the clip.
So he had the stethoscope, he had the scrubs and all that kind of stuff. We actually outsourced all the medical equipment. Our props master for that video, Blair Meatco, Chris, shout out, he's a fucking legend. He went above and beyond with this one. He came out, he built us that cross. He happened upon
a guy. One for High Exalt too, because Mason's been in two cross videos now. Crosses with chains.
I think that was built by like the band themselves. I actually never asked Mason about that. All I know is they dragged that cross out to the salt desert that's in outside of Adelaide, and they set it up. And people pulled up and they were like, you can't be filming here. We've called the cops. And they had fuck all time to shoot it. But yeah, I think they built the cross for that one. I don't think Mason built it.
It was funny to see your guys' clip pop up. And I was like, oh, I've seen something like this before.
Yeah. You know what was crazy is that didn't occur to me till probably a month after we shot it. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like, we just did what I Exalt did.
But it wouldn't even be that funny if Mason wasn't in both, right? That's just the cherry on top for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think the funny thing is they both have pretty iconic gravity blast moments. That's another like real crazy one. But yeah, like the Zeolite boys, they fucking rule. They definitely deserve their flowers because they're really tight live. Like they have this aura to them that's like, in a non-derogative way, they're a wall of sound when you watch them. It's just like it's like a barrage of fucking intensity. And I think it's really cool because that's kind of what they set out to do. Pat is one of the best guitarists in our scene. His right hand is sort of untouchable. He's just ruthless at picking. Everyone who's in that band is extremely talented, and they definitely do deserve way more hype. I agree with you there, yeah.
Yeah, I think for me specifically, I guess it's because they have that like technical deathcore that's very like akin to the Australian scene specifically. You know, there aren't that many bands like that today doing that kind of specific sound, right? So when I found Zeolite, I was like, oh, this scratches that itch. I was like, I'm here for it, you know.
There really isn't. I can't really think of too many bands that fit in that bracket anymore. Like there used to be, I guess like even then, like when Zeolite were popping off a bit more back in the day, like that was when my old band Noir was around. We were probably more on the melodic side. We had some techie riffs, but it wasn't quite that. And like all the bands they were playing with, none of them were really on that technical side. And I think they've kind of owned that space.
Noir was pretty technical, let's be real. It was kind of more like tech death with like some slight breakdowns here and there, right? Like, but it was.
We were really influenced by Black Dahlia Murder. I think that's probably it's that kind of technicality, the technicality that's melodic and more, I guess, like Swedish mellow death. And like to be fair, like there's no way in hell I can play like any of the Noir songs on guitar. That's why I didn't play guitar for it. The guitarist for that band, Alex Bell, he still to this day is extremely pivotal in my songwriting. Because I played in my older band, I played the rhythm guitar with him, and his song, the way he approaches songwriting is still how I approach songwriting today. Because I'm not sure if you guys are aware, I'm the one that writes all the music for Melancolia, and the way I approach it is the exact same way he did it. I just don't have the technicality he did. It was well beyond my skill set. Even when we were playing in the other band together, like I was struggling to keep up with him.
So what's with the fascination for French then? Noir, Melancolia with the accent. What's going on there?
All right. our bass player Toby, which funnily enough, he wasn't in Melancholia at the start. He's only officially joined as of this album cycle. He's been playing with us since 2023, but he really loves, I guess, like French film and French art. There is a certain eloquence to the French language and the way they consume and portray a lot of things. So, and we always wanted to go less of the, I guess, barbaric end of metal. We wanted to go more of the avant-garde way, but still try and not to the point where it alienated a fan base. But we always wanted to portray it a bit, rather than angrier, it was always going for sadness. And I think the French really capture sadness and despair and melancholy like perfectly in a lot of their art. There's a lot of like French horror movies. I'm sure you guys have come across over time, like Martyrs and the movie Raw.
That's my favorite movie.
Traumatizing for me, though, I'll be honest.
Yeah, but, I watched Martyrs when I was 16, and I was like, wow. I was like, that was the craziest movie I've ever seen. It was really good, and I never need to watch that again. Like, but then, dude, I got a phone call from Mason like a few months back. I'm like, hey, what are you doing, man? It was in the morning. And he's like, oh, yeah, just got up. I watched Martyrs. And I was like, so you got up at 7 a.m. and decided to watch Martyrs? He's like, yeah, it was like my fourth viewing of it. I'm like, you're fucked, man. That's fucking
no coffee needed that morning. Yeah.
Enough for me. Great movie. Very troubling for me. So, but
it's a one
well
and done. Yeah, it is a one and done. But yeah, that's where the French fascination, I guess, comes by. I think for a while there, I was trying to learn French as well, just because I love the language. I love how it sounds. I'm a big foodie. I'm really into wine. Like red wine is like my thing. And I feel like the culture behind everything that I love in general is always really best executed by the French. So Toby came up with the name Noir, which obviously translates to black soul. And that kind of encapsulated what that sound was. And we kept using the word melancholy in our writing. Like we were like, it needs to be more melancholic. It needs to be more somber. It needs to be that sort of a thing. And when we were coming up with a band name for this band, we had the biggest list ever. And what it ended up coming down to is the Lars von Trier movie Melancholia is probably where it got inspired from the most. And that movie itself, not a French movie, but there's a lot of despair in there. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Lars von Trier has a French background. Like I think one of his parents is Dutch and the other is French or something like that. And it just kind of like made the most sense when I was thinking of our music. I'm like, it sounds very melancholic, but there is other bands called Melancholia. They spell it with the CH, and I don't like how that looks like aesthetically. So I just looked, I just like translate Melancholia French, and it came up with that with the accent above the E, and I was like, sweet, there we go, that's the one.
That's cool, man.
Makes sense.
I just it just kind of stood out to me that both bands' names had some ties to the French, you know.
A lot of people ask me if I'm French. I have no French background, by the way. No one in our band does. I have my family come from England and Spain, so I've got Spanish background, but yeah, nothing there in France.
If I may, when you want to learn French, don't learn it from here. We're French Canadian. Don't learn that type of French. If you can learn the French from like Europe, if I may. Not that we don't want to, but we speak a weird one. So
Kevin, who plays in what's he play? Disembodied Tyrant. Dismembered Tyrant. What's it called? Disembodied Tyrant.
Disembodied Tyrant.
He played for Fallujah when we were on tour in Europe, and he speaks like 3 languages. He speaks French, like French Canadian, Italian, and English. And he immediately, I was like, dude, it's so sick you can speak French. He's like, don't learn this kind of French. He's like, this is I think he said to me, it's like a bastardized version of French.
It's weird. We use a lot of English words in a weird way. It's just
our slang is kind of trashy. Yeah, it's the whole thing.
It's like I know a guy, Nick Tremblay. He plays in a band called Never Easy. He was like a SoundCloud rapper for a bit there as well. He's French Canadian. He also has like just some of the ways back in the past, I don't talk to him so much anymore, but how he would word certain things would be a bit perplexing. So I think it kind of crosses over into the English as well.
Oh yeah, we're nice, but we're weird when we speak.
Every Canadian
French.
I've ever met is the nicest person ever. That stereotype is so true. Like every single one. Like the Angel Maker guys are like the kindest people in the world.
We'll take it. I know he's about to say that. Of course, we have our fair share of, not too nice, obviously. But I'm glad that it's holding up because it's a great reputation to have.
Yeah, definitely.
We're gonna try to represent it as well as we can. So
yeah, you guys are doing a great job. No, you guys are doing a great job.
Thank you.
Back it.
Imagine if you're just like, oh no, you're ruining it. Yeah, you're terrible.
changing a perspective in a matter of 2 hours.
Yes.
I'd love to kind of pick your brain a little bit on the first music video you guys put out, because I thought it was cool that you guys went to an escape room. You guys did the Q&A thing afterwards too. Went back there. Do you guys have like a relationship with that place? Like, what's the deal there? How'd that kind of come about?
Crazy, man. I remember storyboarding the music video for Horror Ethereal, and I was like, it needs to look like the bathroom from Saw. And I was just like looking around on the internet, and someone was like, oh, surely there's like a Saw escape room you can look at. And I was like, fuck, that's the best idea ever. So I just like Googled Saw escape room. Sure enough, there was one like 20 minutes from my house, and I just called them. I was like, it was in COVID as well, so it was a bit tricky. They had a max of amount of people that could go in there. I think we were lucky that it was just our band and the videographer, so we made it work. But I called them and I'm like, how much to hire out that escape room for an entire day so we can shoot a music video in there? And they were pretty accepting of it immediately. Like there wasn't much pushback on anything. We just went, we settled on a price. They blocked it off for a certain amount of time. They did say we needed to mute the drum sound as much as possible. And we couldn't drum before a certain time, and we had to stop by a certain time. But yeah, it was,
I guess, like other businesses.
It was in a pretty, not a massively built up area, but it wasn't like a quiet area. There was a few businesses around, and it was, like we just called them, did that. And it was just so easy that we did that. And then after that, we actually called them up again, and we shot at one of their different locations, music video for Anua that has, I think 5 different escape rooms in there. We found a scrapyard. We shot the bulk of the band performance in a metal scrapyard just outside of Melbourne. And then we called the same company again. I was like, hey, you remember us? And they're like, yeah, the music video came out great. Thanks for, plugging us and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, can we use some of your other locations? And we blocked off almost the entire second location that had like 5 escape rooms. There was a Matrix one, there was a Conjuring one, and there was a Terminator one. We used all 3 of those and did shots in there as well. But yeah, I wouldn't say we have like any kind of relationship outside of those. Like we didn't use them on this music video shoot purely because we've pretty much run them dry now. All those music videos have been shot. And we had a different aesthetic build idea, and I was very in the mindset of building our sets for this one because I knew we could do it smart and on the cheap. Like Billy, our guitarist, is a metalworks worker. We have this working relationship with Blair Meat Co., building props and stuff like that now, and working closely with Carl, who shoots our music videos. And fun little mention there, he was the drummer for Boris the Blade. He was also also the drum. Yeah, he's also the drummer for Gravemind. Me and him lived together for like 5 years. And that's how we came up with a lot of these music videos, is me and him coming together. But me and him sort of know how each other work. He knows the style I like, and we know how to manipulate a space to make it look how we want now. So we felt the need to build sets to get the correct vision. As you probably saw the set build for the stage, that was us, me and Carl being obsessed with Spine Shank and ripping off the music video Synthetic. Like I wanted it to be no secret that that's what we were doing. I was like, this is us paying homage to that music video. So yeah, no need for the escape rooms on this one, but they're great people. They're called Rush Escape Rooms for anyone in Australia watching. Go do an escape room. It was crazy to go back and do that interview like the Q&A in there, because like we knew that room very well by the end of the music video shoot, but we sucked at that escape room. We had a walkie-talkie off camera, and we were like, yo, what's the next move? Like Josh was stuck in that little bathroom unit for like 25 minutes. He didn't know how to get out. So but yeah, shout out those guys. They really came in clutch with that.
Well, it's cool. It's cool because it's like it's a full set that's like already built, right? Like, sure, there's a cost to like renting it out, but like versus having to do all the legwork to get the props and to set up a location, like it's such a free kind of like idea, you know? I don't know, like kind of setup, right?
Everyone I speak to says the same thing. Like, that is a fucking genius idea. I'm like, I know, it's fucking crazy.
Like, why doesn't that happen more, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, and that's the thing as well. Like, because we did it, it kind of it blackballed, eightballed like everyone else. Like, they can't shoot there now because we shot there. Like, everyone's just gonna be like, oh, that's where fucking Melancholia shot their music videos. Like, it's a good thing and a bad thing. I hope it inspires other people in other areas. Like, that's honestly the easiest way you can have a cool looking set rather than just doing the standard warehouse thing. Even the way these new singles we've got coming, like the way we dress these sets, they were very basic setups, but they were so thought out that we were able to do it on a very DIY budget, which is quite sick. So yeah, it all goes back to your planning, I guess, and like looking for ideas outside the box.
Yeah, because I mean, even All Is Rust, you know, you look at the setup. I'm assuming you've got like the two, you know, you've got the doctor side scene, and then you've got the main set. But like that main set isn't like huge. You know, it seems like it's like a 12 by 12, and it's shot super tight, and like so you can't really see what's, you know, if it's in a big room or small room or anything. You know, it's kind of like contained, right?
Yeah, it was in a giant like filming space. Like the place we hired was very much like for filming, and we had lots of room to move around. That stage though is very small. Like it was a struggle to fit us all on there, and obviously because it was made out of like plastic grates, it was it was stable enough for us to be on it, but fuck, there was definitely times where like I'm sure in some of the cuts that Carl has on his computer, like you can probably see me like slipping and shit like that as well.
Well, I was kind of scared when I saw the BTS. I was like, I'm surprised no one smashed their foot through one of the grates.
Dude, we had a drum kit on there. That was crazy. Like to have a drum kit on there and to have our drummer drumming that song was nuts. I know there was definitely times where he couldn't do the exact kick pattern that we might have had because he would have had to have gone way too hard on the feet. And there was like definitely points where it was like, you need to stand in this area. Don't move too far over to this side because the grates will slip. But yeah, we made it work, and you know, we will always have that kind of attitude. It's like, just make it happen.
Yeah. We got to talk about the pig squeal too. The pig squeal in the breakdown. I was like, yes, we don't get pig squeals like that anymore.
I think that has come from that band I spoke of, A Fallen Theory. They were very pig squeal heavy. And I only discovered, the crazy thing is, right, like I've sort of always been aware of what my vocal range is, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I can do pig squeals, but I just hadn't done them since I was like 15 years old. And live, I found that I wasn't enjoying doing like just straight up low screams as much anymore. So I started, I think it might have been at rehearsal. I just gave it a crack one day, and I was like, oh fuck, I can do like gnarly 2008 pig squeals. So I just started throwing them in live, and I started replacing full sections of lows with pig squeals, just for the fuck of it, because it's just, to me, it's just amusing and it's fun. So we got to recording, and I was like, because we also put up a video of how we wrote that breakdown. It was in my head for months, and I literally just got our producer Declan to hit record, and he put a click on, and I just did it with my voice. But I knew when I wrote that breakdown in my head, I had it in there for 6 months and never forgot it because I knew I wanted to change it. I just couldn't be fucked doing it myself. I knew in my head that was coming in on a giant fucking dirty pig squeal. It's definitely one of the more fun ones to do. I try not to do them too often because I don't want them to lose their appeal. I want it to be like a special moment in a song. And I can confirm there are more pig squeals on the album. We've definitely there's one in particular I can think of, one section that's almost ridiculous. like you hear it and it's almost like you laugh. Like anyone I've showed the album to, they point it out every time, and I'm like, yeah, I know it's stupid in the best possible way. But I kind of took a step back with loads in general. Just on this album, I started doing like this more yelled vocal that I didn't do on History Rotten Teeth, and that's like predominantly what is heard. It's either I'm doing that yell or I'm doing the high screams that I guess I'm more so known for anyway.
Yeah, I think the highs have always kind of been, standout to me, at least. Like
yeah, it's always been
you've got
thing.
like your own thing with the highs. So
yeah, I mean, you grow up in a country with dudes like Brendan Van Ryn. it's gonna happen. Like I, as I said, I really love Cradle of Filth. I really love the Black Dahlia Murder. I loved, like, I don't listen to it as much anymore, but I did love a lot of black metal for a while there. And all of it is a prerequisite to do high screams. Like, fuck, one of my favorite bands is Death Heaven, and that's all pretty much high screams. So yeah, I think that'll, and Mitch, oh God, the GOAT Mitch Lucker, like, of course. Like I grew up on Suicide Silence and early Bring Me the Horizon. High screams were very much it was, you did highs and lows, and some bands also did mid screams as well. You always had like the three, and I like always took that on as high screams being like the scream that I wanted to focus on. I need to give a quick shout out because I just remembered my favorite MySpace deathcore band is Eternal Lord. If you guys know who that is.
Oh, they're fucking back too.
Yeah, dude, they're back with Sam Ricketts. It's fucking crazy. But like, so the album they put out, Blessed Be
I Killed the
Nightmare.
Prom Queen is doing the throwback shows. We got Eternal, dude. I'm like,
yeah, everything's coming back, man. And you know what's so I think the first high adjacent screams I really ever heard were I Killed the Prom Queen, because Ed Butcher was doing like that more gnarly, like open, higher, mid-range sort of scream. And then in Eternal Lord, when he left and started Eternal Lord, like that band took over my fucking life. I think there's a lot of nods to Eternal Lord in our music. The track list of our new album is out there. There is a song called I Can See Through the Holes in My Hands, and that is directly a line inspired by Eternal Lord. There's that song, Get to Fuck. The line is, can you see through holes in your hands? And that was where I pulled it from. And I'm very big on paying homage to bands, but yeah, I just had to, before I forgot, I had to mention like Eternal Lord. Like I was talking to Sean from Ingested when we were on tour with him. I mentioned Eternal Lord, and he's from that era, and he was like, how the fuck do you know Eternal Lord? And then like touring with them was great because they played in that MySpace era. They were in Annotations of an Autopsy. So I got to fucking pick their brains about that. But yeah, fuck, just thought I needed to mention that. They're the GOATs.
You say Annotations of an Autopsy. They're playing shows next year. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah, actually, I need to hit up Lynn and Sean. I need to find out what the go is because they were in Annotations till the end. I'm not even sure if they're the ones that are coming back with that lineup or not, or if they're doing OG. I'm hoping that they're coming back to do the MySpace style shit, not the... What was that song they had? Stage Breaker, and it was like way more like beat down. Yeah. They lost me on that. Like I have to say, it was definitely like, songs like Bone Crown and in Snake's Eye Bathe, and obviously Welcome to Sludge City, and like that was probably where the Pig Squeals like they were fucking some of the best.
Yeah.
They were like the best at it, man. It was them and Despised Icon. They were the fucking goats of Pig Squeals back in that era.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I think they're doing a throwback thing.
Yeah, I mean, the MySpace revival is quite big right now, so like I can imagine, and that like Eternal Lord are back, so
yeah, and like they they did the Wax Vessel release, and that like sold the fuck out too. Like they know that like the old shit is what people are really fucking with more than anything else. They just re-uploaded like that EP that you're talking about with Stagebreaker the other day. Like I think the day after they announced the show, and they're like, yeah, our most hated EP is back on streamers now. Like they're self-aware at the very least.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, I do know
we'll
that
see,
at the time. Yeah, I do know at the time when that was what they were doing musically. I think Sean and Lynn were a bit more like, oh man, like I don't think that was what they sort of wanted to do, because obviously they started Ingested after that, and listen to Ingested, it's just straight up brutal death metal for the first like 4 albums. But yeah, it's cool to see these bands coming back. Like, you know, who the fuck knew Eternal Lord? Like I just randomly looked them up one day and saw that they'd like made an Instagram, and I was like, what the fuck? Looked at it, and it was just like OG lineup with Sam Ricketts on vocals, like Stu Mackay on drums, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And I was like messaging my brother. I'm like, dude, Eternal Lord's coming back. Like, are you fucking serious? So it'll be interesting to see where they take it. It's interesting to see where Annotations take it, but it's cool to see that stuff come back.
Yeah, it's cool because it's a mix of like all these older bands coming back, and then you've got newer kids in the revival kind of doing their thing as well. It's all together, but it's like in 2 different ways. So,
yeah, I mean, like you got bands like obviously Psycho Frame and like Crucifixion. Like Salem's a good friend of mine. I actually
killing it.
Yeah, I feature on that album too, which was a really sick. It was an honor to jump in on that track, and he is by far the closest sounding person to Brendan Van Ryn I've ever heard.
True.
And I know for a fact he fucking worships that EP. Like that's like his favorite deathcore release.
Yeah, we talked about it with him, and even I just did a video about the whole MySpace revival. Like I covered like not all the bands, but most of the band in a YouTube video, and he was in it, and he said thank you because like I compared him to like, you know, Infinite Dead, and like they're bringing back like that. Like I basically said that's the Die Hard is Murder. If Die Hard would have stayed like Infinite Dead and evolved, they would have been Crucifixion type thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he seemed happy about it. So
yeah, and like shout out to Salem because he is one person. You know, I've never met him in person, obviously, because I live in Australia and we're yet to get over to the States. But he's one person I know that shares that same visual aesthetic vision.
Yes.
And like same with like all the High Scream stuff. Like me and him really bond over like just being the guys that really push for High Screams. And I know that it's a very polarizing vocal style. So I have so much respect for him for also, you know, carrying that torch. And he's fucking so good at it for someone like he's also done a similar thing to me. He like played guitar in bands and wrote all the music for his new band for him to front. There's a lot of similarities there, and I just respect the hell out of Salem for that. Like he's just so fucking good at what he does. He's got such a clear vision of what he wants in music. And he's just so talented to go from being like a guitarist to being a vocalist like that. Like I feel like a few years ago he was hitting me up saying like that he was going to give that a crack, and all of a sudden he's whipping out these crazy fucking vocals. Like when he did that one Bloodbather track where him and Jeff were on vocals, like I was like, holy fucking shit, this dude like sounds like he's been pulled out of the MySpace era.
It's kind of like by necessity too, right? Like because of Bloodbather, he kind of stumbled into doing vocals, right? So it's kind of crazy to see him now with Crucifixion doing what he does and being so good at vocals as like something that was, I guess, typically like an afterthought, you know, just a few years ago.
Oh, dude, his stamina is fucking crazy. Like I've watched live video after live video, and there's a lot of admiration there because that dude, he's in the gym a lot. He works on his fitness a lot. No one is matching his stamina. No one. Like I can't match that shit. Fuck that. That's fucking crazy what he's doing.
Oh, it's insane, and it's cool because like not to compare, but like even in videos, there's this huge like horror team that he's doing as well.
His whole
you know
goth
what I mean?
aesthetic
like,
too, and all that. Yeah. I see.
That's why. I think that's why we bond. Yeah, I think that's why we bond.
Your bands would make sense. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, we've definitely spoken about it like 100%. I think when we're in a position to bring a band over, like that's one of the bands on the list. Like it just makes sense, like more aesthetically, even if we're the genre we're pushing. Like, I guess, without giving too much away, like there's definitely a departure from that sort of vibe on our newest album. But even aesthetically, it makes sense to me, like to do something with Crucifixion. And like I said, like there's never been like any weird like feelings towards the fact that we're both doing like a similar vision. I've always just loved the fact that it's almost like an American counterpart. Like I'm just like, this is
your
me,
last
this
twin.
is the me. Yeah, this is the me in America. Like, and I'm the him in Australia. Like, I just back everything that he fucking does. He also has that same mindset of pushing content and stuff like that. Like, he's just the fucking goat. Like I love the guy. He's fucking so good. Anyway, I'll stop gushing about Salem now.
but we like. I mean, like he's loved interviewing him.
We share the
nice.
opinion. So yeah.
And as a person as well, like just like a great
awesome
person too. So
yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Okay, I'd wanna wrap things up, but two things. I want you to talk to us a little bit about the pre-order stuff for the album. And this isn't even because it's like, hey, we have to talk about promo stuff, but it's just genuinely because I want to talk about fucking cereal boxes and a bowl and spoon and the crazy vinyl stuff you guys have done. I want to hear you talk about that for a little bit because that shit's fucking cool, man. You guys have some really cool pre-order stuff.
Oh, dude, like, so I knew when we went into this that I wanted our pre-orders to go harder. And we have, like, we're very grateful. The backing from Grayscale, especially for the pre-order stuff, like, Nuclear Blast handled a lot of the other nitty-gritty back-end stuff. And then Grayscale, I approached them and I'm like, hey, look, Nuclear Blast have handled a lot of stuff for us. How would you feel about handling like hectic pre-order stuff? And immediately, every idea I had, Josh was just immediately like, yeah, that's sick. Let's do that. Like he didn't really shoot down any of my ideas. I just knew when we came into it that I wanted some weird, special, limited edition thing, right? I didn't want like just t-shirts, you know what I mean? So I was like, I want to do some hectic clothing, but I also want like a physical product that's really weird. And we toyed with a lot of different ideas. And one of them was we were looking at figurines, we were looking at stuff like that. And it's crazy expensive to make a figurine. Let me fucking tell you, we really looked into it. It is so expensive. So we sort of started throwing around ideas, and Ophelia, who is she's our PR and marketing at Grayscale. She just pulls out this MF Doom cereal box.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy fucking shit. Like that's sick. Cause I was sort of looking at packaging and I'm like, what could we do different for packaging? And then what sort of brought it up was me saying back in the day in Australia, you used to be able to get a cereal box and it would come with a CD in it and it would be like Age of Empires on PC. Mm-hmm. So you get your box of Wheat Bix or Nutri-Grain or whatever, or Cocoa Puffs, and there'd be a fucking CD in there of Age of Empires. And I was like, it'd be cool to put a CD in a cereal box again. I haven't seen anyone do that for a while. She pulls out this MF Doom box and it had a bowl and a spoon in it and a figurine. And we were like, fuck, we can't do the figurine, but the bowl and the spoon might be sick. And I'm a very nostalgic person. And obviously our aesthetic throws back to a lot of 90s and 2000s, early 2000s tropes. Something about eating cereal is super nostalgic to me, and for some reason that makes the most sense. Like I still love eating cereal. It's such a weird trait to have, that I love eating cereal, especially at night. I don't really ever eat it in the morning. It's always at night, and it's always specifically standing up, leaning against the counter. I never sit down to eat cereal.
Okay.
It's so weird. But yeah, we decided that was the thing to do. And if you give me 2 seconds, I have them behind me, so I can pull one out and show you guys. I want to see
this for sure, 1000%.
Yeah. So where are we? I've got like all our pre-order merch in here. It's fucking crazy. So,
okay, it's fucking huge,
bro. Wait till you see this fucking bowl. Like,
man, I thought it was normal fucking cereal box size. This is
dude, it's thick. I mean, it's got to fit like a CD, a shirt, a cereal bowl, and stickers in there. So it's like it needed to be pretty hefty. But another little cool fact. This is the character we have on the front of our album. We named her Mother Morgue, and that's a reference to one of Mason's other bands, because he was in a band called Mother Morgue. And it was the coolest fucking name for a band ever, but I was really sad that we couldn't use it for a band name. And another little fun fact, I guess, with Mother Morgue is the guitarist of Mother Morgue is our front of house sound engineer. So we obviously had all the blessings. Mason came up with the name Mother Morgue. So that's you know, I got the fucking ring light there. Anyway, so if I open this up, look at this giant ass fucking cereal bowl. Like, you can fit an absurd amount of cereal in this. It's so fucking stupid. So,
oh my!
It's a chip bowl. Wow. It's not a cereal bowl.
Like, dude, and this is the thing. Like, my first thought was like, you could eat ramen in this, but like, it wasn't intentional. But I also love a massive bowl of cereal, like a monstrous bowl. So this worked out really well. And it comes like the spoon's like almost like a ramen spoon. It's fucking crazy. Where is it? It's right here. But yeah, like it's kind of crazy.
That's so sick,
Like,
dude.
but yeah, it is. I just wanted to do something different with the pre-orders, and this was another point of promotion to me. Even if people weren't buying it, they're still seeing it. Like, there's something to talk about. So I think
That's sick. Love the
yeah,
color too. I have to admit,
yeah,
like the
the
color is
purple,
sick.
the purple just made sense. I don't know why. We worked with this guy Thrash Wolf who makes a lot of stuff for a lot of different bands, and yeah, he picked out a crazy good color scheme. And it's kind of like
What's
a
that
bit of
90s look, right? It's those kind of colors.
yeah,
Yeah, reminds me
yeah,
of the show Goosebumps and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like,
brother.
was that the show?
Yeah, I have a Goosebumps G tattooed on my shin.
There we go.
So
Checks
I grew
out.
up. I grew up around that shit. But yeah, and we also have these jackets. I wear this.
Yeah.
I love this jacket. It was modeled off a '90s FUBU jacket. And yeah, we got the side bags as well. Fucking like we just wanted to go all out with the pre-orders, and then when it came time to talk vinyl, I just asked Josh. I was like, "What can we do with vinyl?" And he's like, "You can do fucking anything you want with it. You can basically." We got told you could take 2 transparent vinyls and stick whatever you want in between. So I just started thinking of liquids and themes and stuff that go with it.
Well, the liquid ones look fucking insane, dude. I know they're like extremely limited, but like that stuff is super fucking cool because we see like very like all sorts of like crazy variants and stuff, especially in the revival scene. And like there's a lot of people putting old records on wax now for the first time and stuff like that. There's like a big market for that stuff now, but I had never seen like with the liquid in the vinyl.
Yeah.
Like that's so fucking cool, man.
It was crazy, especially like when we were coming up with combinations for it, because all I was thinking was, I'm like, because there's a lot of references to like cyber computers, digital stuff on the new stuff. Because I guess with the first album, it was like, this is Windows 95. And then the idea was the next album was an upgrade to XP. So I was like, what can we do that's like digital and cyber? And this dude's just like, oh, like I was like, can we get like a motherboard and put that in a vinyl? And he's like, I've got these like, I don't know what they are. They're from the inside of like a computer, and it's just like these little green chip things with wires on them. And I was like, cool, what goes with that? Blood, sick. And then we did like the razor blades with the blue, and we've got like the chrome as well. We do have a lot of references lyrically to chrome and silver and stuff on this record, so that made sense. And then the X-ray one, it's actually pressed with the X-rays we used in all the upcoming music videos, so they're specifically the ones we used on set. Yeah, it's sick. I'm stoked about it.
Fucking awesome, dude. I love shit like that because it truly is like it gives you a reason to buy a pre-order, because every single band ever has a pre-order for their new album, but if it's just a t-shirt and a record, I mean, it's just you have no incentive to buy that versus buying it in 6 months once it's already out.
You could just wait,
and wait for the discount bin or whatever, you know, or just listen to it digital. Right. So it's so cool when there's original concepts like that.
Collector stuff as well, you know what I mean? Like the box you just showed, some people are gonna keep it like that, right? Like there's some people who's gonna keep it like kind of just as a collectible thing. It's sick, dude.
It'll be on the shelf at my house as well. Like I've got 5 of them sitting in there because we're going to make some content around it. Just a little spoiler alert. That'll be kind of cool. But yeah, I think I always think in the scope of a fan, because I am a music fan first and foremost. So I always think like, what's something that I would have wanted one of my favorite bands to do back in the day? And me and Josh from my band, we collaborate a lot on merch in general. That's usually what me and him handle. And we brainstormed a lot over a lot of this stuff. And it's just cool that, you know, we actually got to put it into motion. Like, it's crazy that we have such support from our label at Grayscale that they were willing to do this stuff. I think they really like innovation, and yeah, we couldn't be more stoked to be backed by someone that's willing to let us do crazy fucking shit like a cereal bowl.
But dude, like hearing you, it really feels like it's a huge collaboration altogether. It just feels like everything works smoothly, right? Like I don't see like everything, but just hearing you, it feels like you're all on the same page. Like the label, you guys, like it just feels like everything works, and it's kind of a big team, and it's awesome to hear, you know.
Yeah, I think we're a very tight knit team. Everyone that's close to us shares the exact same vision. Like from our front of house and media to like, you know, people we work with, like outside videographers and stuff, they all share the same vision, and they all want to, I guess, surround us with support for what we're trying to do, because they believe in it, because they see that we believe in it, I think.
Yeah, it's cool to hear, because you know what I mean? Like, you have outside of the box ideas, right? It's not all the labels that are going to go for, you know what I mean? Like, there's some people who are going to see it as like, oh, you know, could be risky or whatever. And it feels like you have a team who's just like, let's do it. You know, like it's just freaking do it.
Well,
It's
I
awesome.
think it comes back to the whole, like, we're not trying to do something that's like, every band's always saying like, oh yeah, we're trying to do something new and something fresh. And I'm like, no, we're like actually trying to do shit that no one's doing. Like,
Yes.
I don't want us to be lumped into a category of like a local band or something like that, because that's not what we are. And we're trying to push the envelope on ideas that aren't akin to those sort of bands. We're trying to push ideas that are akin to the superstars of our genre, like the dudes that are headlining Download, down to the very last detail. We are trying to put ourselves in position for that.
That's awesome.
Seem to be working very well for you guys.
It's coming along for sure.
I mean, it's speaking for itself, I think. Like, just, you know, the super fast rise, if I can, you know, call it, like, 'cause I think it's fair to say, you know, it went super fast, and then all these crazy things. I could be wrong, but I think the serial thing, if people have done it, I've never seen that. Like, if it has been done, so fair
I've
to
never
say.
seen it. I've never seen it in metal. Like, so I'm pretty sure we're one of the first to do that.
I mean, and it's cool, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's the kind of things that someone could be sharing, even if they've never heard anything heavy in music. Just like, hey, look at that, it's pretty cool. So that's, I feel like it's an, you know, like a value that you have.
Broadening the fan base, I guess. Yeah. And I think that's been the mission statement for this whole new album, is not just locking ourselves into a niche genre in every aspect, like as well as music, aesthetics, merchandise, all that kind of stuff. We're trying to really broaden our sea of where we can sort of take things. And yeah, it's important down to the last details, like your pre-order merch.
Yeah, man. Well, dude, I'd love to maybe give you the floor to, before we wrap up here, to maybe just pitch anything that you can talk about that's coming up, I guess. You know, got the album, you got the tour, any other plans you can talk about? Would love to give the space for you to do so.
All right, so a exclusive announcement, which is coming over the next few days. We've got our next single coming out next week. I'm not going to say what song it is, but yeah, we've got another single coming out next week, the day we fly out for this tour with Thy Art. We are on tour with Thy Art for the next month across regional Australia. So if you're in Australia, come out and see that. We've got a lot more stuff in store, a lot of stuff that might catch people off guard, or, you know, might be a bit of a shock to the system, but it's coming hard and fast, and you're going to see it all roll out until August 29th when the album drops. And a little Easter egg, I suppose. We got our first headline Australian tour locked in. That'll be for the album release. But yeah, we've got new single coming hot and fast, so get ready for that.
Hell yeah!
Congrats, by the way, the headliner and stuff like that. That's huge. Like, that's
thanks, man. I think with the headliner one, we've been asked and we've turned down so many offers to headline. And it's crazy that I said I was impatient before, but I was really patient with this. I was like, no, we're not headlining until I'm confident we can fill these rooms. Yeah. And we're not doing like tiny rooms, which is cool too. Like we're doing like substantially sized rooms for our size in Australia, I'd say. So it's a big moment for us. So it's definitely, if anyone's watching from Australia and you've wanted to come out to a show, or you're umming and ahhing about doing it, if there's any time to support us, come out to our headline shows and make it the craziest shows we've ever done in Australia.
Hell yeah. And I just want to, it can't be overstated too, a month-long tour in Australia, regional Australia, is fucking crazy. It never fucking happens. Let's be real, right? That's like kind of unheard of.
Yeah, it's usually like you do 4 to 5 shows in Australia. But with these regional ones, it's harder for a band our size to do them, but because we're going out with Thy Art, it's way more possible, because these rooms will be filled and they'll be bigger rooms. But yeah, it's like So we're on tour for 25 days, but I think it's 16 shows. So we have like days off in between, because in Australia, like no one's pulling up to a show on a Tuesday. Like no one's fucking doing that. Like it's crazy to get to these places. Like I've lived in this country my whole life, and I've toured this country so many fucking times, but I'm going to all these towns and stuff that I've never been to or even heard of, some of them. So it's going to be really cool. We're playing one that's close to where I was born or brought up. So I've got some hometown. I've got some family coming. My mum's coming to watch us play for the first time. So she's
awesome.
She's about to be in for a real fucking shock. That's for sure. And yeah, I got like dudes from like bands I played with back when I was in high school coming to this show. So it's going to be sick. But yeah, if you're in Australia, you can get tickets on Die Art's website. For our headliner, that'll be announced very, very soon. And tickets will be available at your usual vendors. And yeah, we've got a single coming next week. And just to touch on that single, I think it's going to be quite a curveball for everyone. Don't expect what you heard on All Is Rust. Don't expect anything that you've heard on History Rotten Teeth. It's a whole different territory we've just stepped into for this next single. Yeah, and that's where we've been pushing the blackened new metal as what our genre is. Mm-hmm. It's going to make a lot of sense on this next one.
Hell yeah, man. Well, can't wait to hear it. And dude, thank you so much for taking the time to do this again. Also, because it was like 9 a.m. for you, which is kind of unusual for someone to do a podcast so early.
No, I appreciate you guys having me on. No, I mean, I've been watching you guys for a bit. And I'm really good friends with Josh from Ingested. I saw him on here and I was like, fuck, I want to get on there too. Like that'd be sick. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to have me on. Like it means the world to us. It's like, you know, to be noticed by, I guess, an outlet that we greatly respect as a band it's sick. Like we really appreciate the opportunity. So can't thank you guys enough. Thank you.
Well, same thing for us. I mean, like, first of all, the conversation was so sick, super interesting. Like, I'm not just saying that. Like, the entire time I was just like listening. I think I've spent like I was basically just listening, which is rare for me. So
Yan tends to yap a lot. So just for context,
well, we've got that in common, bro. I'm sure if we sat down and had a conversation, it would be yap central for hours. So, I appreciate it.
That they were going to meet, like prepare a lot of time on your schedule. But no, honestly, it was great. And again, I'm just going to repeat it. I have to commend you on just like the mindset and just like fully believing in yourself, being prepared, being professional, all these things. It seems like logical, but it's actually rare, that kind of mindset in anything. So it's super inspiring. And dude, we're gonna have to reinvite you, basically.
Yes,
I appreciate it, man.
More happen to be had.
Yeah, dude, I'll come on anytime. If we want to do one post-album release, like I'm fucking down for it, bro. Sounds good. Thank you guys so much.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, we'll keep in touch. Can't wait to hear the new song and then the album. But I'll let you get on with your day, my man. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good one. See ya.
You too, man. Peace. If you made it to the end of this episode, thank you for watching. And hey, while you're here, hit that subscribe or follow button and a review. If you're watching or listening on a podcast platform, it would mean the world and it helps out more than you know. A big thank you as well to all of our supporters over on Patreon and on Twitch. New episodes every week, links to our Patreon, Discord, and socials in the description. We'll see you soon. We're out.